So now that we're done putting together our legs, we can start getting into some of the more challenging aspects of your character. Probably your most challenging thing that we're gonna have to build is what we left for the end, which is gonna be the arms and the hand. Yeah. So this tutorial will be strictly for the arm, and then we'll have one that follows that kind of just gets into like his little claw. Yeah. So we'll get into that. This is basically what we're going for though, is we're trying to create ourselves an arm, yeah, that is shaped. One thing you'll notice with this arm is that it is already angled, so it's a little bit tricky to kind of put together, but we will definitely get through that process. Yeah. Now to start this off, we're actually going to revert back to creating things with cubes. Yeah, so I'm gonna drop off a cube over here. I'm gonna reset the settings. Yeah, so we all kind of have the same settings again. So if you can go ahead and do that again, you may have some settings that are like carryover, yeah, from things we did before. The only two things that we're gonna add in here is for your width divisions. Is if you could put that at 2. We'll leave the height divisions at 1 for now, and for our depth divisions, we'll also put that at 2. Yeah, so width divisions 2, height divisions 1, depth divisions 2. Width, height, and depth, we'll just leave alone at 1 for now. Okay, the reason why we're making these width divisions and depth divisions, however, is so that we can create something that's sort of circular. So I just went ahead and dropped that off into the scene. I'm going to kind of pull this out to the side. Okay, so we have a very simple cube, right? Split into 4 quadrants at the top and bottom. Okay, I'm gonna switch to my top view here. Okay, and this is gonna be basically like the cuff of the arm. Yeah, so I'm going to take these vertices down the center. Yeah, so I'm right clicking, going into vertex mode. Yeah, we'll do that. I'm gonna go to my scale tool, so pressing R, and then scaling this out. Again, we're trying to make this as circular as possible, which is not the easiest thing in the world because we are working with a cube with not a lot of sides. Yeah, but when we smooth it out, it'll look pretty. It'll match up pretty much with what we want. Okay. Now after you do the left to right in the X direction, we're also gonna go back to front. So if you can go and get the vertices and click and drag, yeah, get those going in the Z direction. We are also going to be scaling that out, yeah. So something like this would be pretty much a good shape to be creating our arm from, believe it or not. Once we have all of those things in place, we're then just gonna right click, go into object mode. And if you could rename this, yeah, so we are going to be working on the character's left side. So if you can go ahead and call this Lego left arm, yeah. So Lego left arm. All right. Okay, and so here is our piece that we're going to be using. Right off the bat, you're going to notice that there's a little bit of a challenge here because this piece is going to be at an, the guide kind of has it as at an angle. Same thing with the side view. So yeah, so that's going to be a little bit of a challenge for us. First thing we're going to do, of course, is put this piece in place. Okay, so I'm going to kind of drop this off over here. Okay, and it looks like I'm gonna have to do 2 rotations. Yeah, so number 1 rotation will be making sure that it aligns with the arm itself. So it's a little bit angled, so I'm gonna rotate that in the Z direction. Yeah, so inner circle. The other thing I'm gonna do is rotate this upwards. Yeah, so this should kind of match in this direction as well. Looks like I can do a little bit of placement here. I'm gonna try to center it as much as possible. And the main reason why we're doing that is we do want to make sure that this matches up, yeah, and it like ends at the same spot. Yeah, so it kind of looks like maybe we're right around here. Okay, I am also going to go to my scale tool, so if you can press R and just kind of scale this out so that it kind of extends across the width of the arm as accurately as possible. Yeah, so that looks pretty good for me right now. I'm also gonna also check in my other view. Yeah, this is where things are you're gonna have to compromise a little bit because again, these are not perfect guides. First thing I know for sure is I'm gonna have to push this back because I'm using my move tool, pushing this back. And this angle is looking a little strong, so I am going to kind of turn it a bit and then bring this up a little bit. Well, I'll just turn it a little bit first. Okay, definitely need to scale this forward, so I'm gonna try to match this up as well. Um, yeah, just trying to find a good compromise over here. So I'm rotating it and scaling it. Yeah, see if you can kind of match those up. If you notice, I asked you to move up and then quickly undid that. And the reason why is if we do move it up over here, yeah, you notice it kind of messes you up in the other view. Yeah, so we kind of have to choose which angle to work with. I am gonna maybe angle this one just a little bit more down. Okay, and I'm gonna kind of, if I have to choose, it looks like I'm gonna be, at least for this portion, I'm gonna be more focused on the front view. Yeah, because I kind of feel like that's a little bit more. I feel like that's a little bit more important right now. Okay, and then once you're done with that, we'll have our first piece in place. It is not gonna look too impressive, yeah, but we have a ways to go. And yeah, we'll definitely make this work. Okay. Now the last thing I'm gonna ask you folks to do is, before we get to the next section, is of course select all your faces at the top. Yeah. So this is pretty easy. We just need to shift click the top four faces. I am going to be bringing this piece down and forward. Yeah. So down and forward, just so I have a little bit of a section over here. Yeah. So um, right now, if you take a look at your angle, this is going to be straight over here. My next extrude, I actually want to have this go from the where the bicep ends, yeah, and meets the forearm, and I also want it to reach to where the elbow kind of is in place over here. Yeah, so that's going to be my two areas. So I'm going to do an extrude, yeah, so Command E or mesh extrude, then use my move tool. I'll bring this new piece up. It will be not at the angle that I want at all, but not a problem. We're gonna start it off by rotating this. Yeah, so again, I'm gonna kind of go in here. I'll rotate this section right to about, it looks like here. Yeah, so again, I'm just trying to get that angle. Okay, I will push this back and I will also scale it. Now, once we get to this angle, scaling gets to be a little bit tricky. We're actually gonna like alternate. Yeah, so I'm gonna scale in the Z direction. Yeah, so a little bit this way. Okay, I mean, you're gonna notice that the angle is gonna start to flatten out. So then after I do that, then I'm gonna go to the scale in the Y direction, bring that up. Okay, and then kind of jump back and forth until I kind of got the angle and shape that I want. Yeah, so somewhere around here is looking pretty good. Then it looks like I just have to drag this up. Yeah, so right about here. And it looks like I kind of scaled a little bit too much forward in the Z direction. So I'm gonna kind of scale that back and move this over. Okay, what you'll notice with this is, again, we're working with something that's boxy, so it may not match your guide exactly, yeah, but we're just trying to get an approximate here. All right, so this is going to look really good now in the side view, but our test is to also make sure that it looks good in both views. So we're going to take a look at it in our front view. This part is not as great, yeah, but not a problem. Yeah, all we have to do is slide it. As long as we're sliding it in the X direction or the Z direction in either of these views, yeah, it will not affect the location too much. Yeah, so if I kind of slide this over, you can kind of see like, oh, it looks still the same in the X view. Same thing if you slide it in the Z direction over here. Yeah, your front view will still look very similar. Yeah, but let me line this up. Okay, so somewhere around here is looking pretty good. Okay, all right, so that's our bottom two sections. Now we're only going to do two more extrudes to get to the shoulder. Yeah, so the next extrude is going to be pretty straightforward. I'm just going to do another Command E or edit mesh extrude. We're going to bring this new piece up. I'm also going to drop this off, so we're gonna kind of get it up until the point where it starts to like curve into the shoulder. So maybe somewhere around here, I'm gonna use my rotation tool to kind of get the angle. Doesn't look like there's a lot of scaling that has to be done here, which is great. Yeah, the more we can avoid that, the better for now. Okay, and then I'm also going to go and check this in the front view. Yeah, so we can kind of take a look in here. Now this is where, if you notice, the arm starts to change in proportion quite a bit. Yeah, so that's a pretty important kind of thing that we have to address. So I'm gonna kind of scale this in. It will be overlapping the body for now, but we will be after we scale. Yeah, so I'm gonna scale it in the x. Sorry, yeah, in the x direction. Right to left. Sorry, left to, yeah, right to left, and we're gonna kind of bring this in right over here. Okay, and you'll notice that as I'm kind of bringing this in, I'm really concentrating on this side. This side, however, I'm gonna make a quick edit. Yeah, once we get to this point right here, we do want to make sure this area is like kind of flush against the body. So I'm just gonna get a single vertex. Yeah, so I'm on this one, right click, go into vertex mode. I'm just gonna get this single vertex over here and kind of bring this over so it's starting to have this flat look to it. Yeah, so I'm gonna kind of bring that over. Same thing with this one right here. I'm gonna kind of bring that over so it's flush against the it's kind of flush against the body. Yeah. All right. Okay, and so we're almost there with the arm. Um, Again, side view looks solid. Front view kind of weird, yes, but this is the angle that we kind of want. Okay, I'm then going to set you folks up with our last one. Yeah, so we're going to be kind of putting that together. We're back in face mode. Okay, we're going to extrude this next piece up, and oh boy, is it going to be interesting. Yeah, so I'm going to kind of bring this new piece up, and we're gonna kind of stop off right about here. Yeah, so we're gonna stop off right about here. Now this may seem a little bit strange to you folks, but what we're gonna do next is we do need to get this rounded over here. But if you notice, the shape is not compatible almost at all currently. Yeah, so we definitely need to make that adjustment. So in this front view, if you can go ahead and scale it. The thing that we're paying attention to is this corner right here. So we want to make sure this line, yeah, kind of matches up with where the shoulder should end. Yeah. Okay, so kind of do something like this. Drop that off right over here, and that looks pretty good. I'm also going to go back to my vertex tool, by the way, and I'm just going to get this vertex right here and kind of flatten that as well. Okay, so that should kind of help with that shape. All right. So our next step is going to be a little bit tricky. We are going to be selecting the vertices going across the top. Yeah. So if you notice right over here, I'm going to select these three. These are actually the middle vertices. So if you were to take a look at it in the perspective view, this is what they kind of look like. Okay. Now, these vertices are actually going to be the topmost vertices. Yeah. So it looks a little bit weird right now. If you notice, it's kind of flat. Yeah. What we're going to do though is we're going to take these three and move them above everything else. Yeah. So if you notice, I'm kind of bringing those up. It's going to look really weird at first. I'm also going to kind of put this so that it is flush against the side of the character. Yeah. So you'll notice from this view now it'll kind of be bumped up. Yeah. So it'll kind of have a more uh, it'll have a more rounded look to it somewhat. Yeah, and it'll also kind of look like this in this view. I'm also going to kind of bring this over. If you notice, I'm outside of the model. That's fine for now. We actually are probably going to put all of these vertices on the outside anyway. Okay, now here, once we have these three pieces in place, our next step is going to be making sure that we're shaping the shoulder. So I'm going to leave this vertex alone right over here. I'm going to go and get the middle one and kind of bring that down very slightly. And then I'm going to get the last vertex and bring that down also very slightly. Okay, so we're kind of using this as our curve. I'm then gonna get this vertex right here. So if you notice, I'm clicking and dragging. I'm actually catching three vertices. Oh, sorry, I'm actually catching two vertices. I actually catch the third one right here. Let's just select all of those and then kind of bring that into over here. Okay, what I'm then also gonna do is grab these vertices right over here. Yeah, so I'm selecting those, okay, and kind of bringing those over. Yeah, and then bring it over, okay, and then kind of again using that to create the curve. Yeah, so I may end up actually bringing this down just a little bit. Yeah, so something like this. Again, don't worry too much about it like not quite matching up with the guide. When we do smooth it, it is gonna be a little bit more, it'll conform a little bit better. Okay, so this is what the overall shape looks like so far. You may notice that it feels a little bit weird near the top because they're all kind of bunched up. What I'm then gonna do is kind of have this sloping down not only from this angle but also from the side angle as well. So I'm going to click on this vertex right here, kind of bring that down just a little bit. Yeah, so kind of bring that down and then bring it over here. Okay, and I'm going to kind of try to make sure that it's like curving down a little bit. Yeah, so we have a little bit of a nice little angle there. I'm also going to get the vertex that's more towards the center, so that this one right here. Okay, and once again, bring that down just a little bit, and bring that over just a little bit. Yeah, so it's gonna again look a little bit weird because it's pointy right there, but we're gonna utilize these other vertices over here to kind of clean that up. Yeah, so this is kind of dropping down here. We're gonna do the same thing with these two. So then I'm gonna select these two, bring those up. Yeah, so we kind of have a little bit of a curve, yeah, going there. This one looks like I'm gonna replace it back onto the body. Okay, and then I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side. So I'm gonna select this vertex right over here. A little bit hard to see, but in the side view is probably the best. We'll probably click on right over there. Okay, and then that should be pretty good. I'm actually gonna get this one and bring that one up as well. Yeah, so that should be enough. Yeah, so she should kind of be tapering over, so it should look okay. I'm gonna select these vertices and kind of bring these up as well. Yeah, okay. All right, so again, it's a little bit of tweaking. This part is really like more of a feel kind of activity or sequence than anything else. I am gonna really quickly right click, go into object mode and press 3. Yeah, and that'll kind of let me know how I'm doing. Okay, so it looks all right. A little bit mushy. If you notice too, my shape is not really um, keeping. It looks like the top area, surprisingly, is good. From the side view, it looks like it needs to get widened a little bit. Yeah. So remember again, though, this is just our preview, so that's what we're working towards. I'm gonna take this area right here and add some holding edges. So I'm gonna go to Mesh Tools, insert Edge Loop, okay, and then insert an edge loop right over here. What that's gonna do is it'll create the cuff. Yeah, so that'll look nice and clean when I press the 3 key, and it'll look a lot better in both your front and your side views. Yeah, so that looks pretty solid. This looks pretty good as well. Okay, now another thing that is gonna really help us as far as this area goes is making sure that these rings or edges, these edge rings, are a little bit wider. So I'm gonna kind of scale these out. I'm gonna start with where the elbow and elbow is. So I'm gonna kind of scale that in the Z direction and also the Y direction, and create a little bit of a border. Yeah, so if you notice, it's almost like you have a little bit of space over there. I'm gonna do the same thing near the upper shoulder, so you can scale out, scale up. Okay, and this down here looked pretty good. So I may neglect that for a while, but I will come back and check out it. Okay, but again, when we go into our 3 mode, yeah, our main thing that we're looking for is that we're keeping that shape. Yeah, so a little bit better. If you notice, like when I'm moving these things around, I'll try to stay as much as possible in low poly mode, yeah, which is the 1 mode. And the reason why is you can kind of, if you start at like making changes in the 3 mode, the edges can get out of control pretty quickly. Yeah, so we want to be careful about doing stuff like that. Yeah, okay, so we have one more here, and then I'm just gonna kind of scale that out, and it looks like I'll push this back a little bit. Okay, again, this is a lot of tweaking. Some of it is gonna will end up being like just us experimenting with this one. I'm gonna take these edges and kind of scale these out as well. Yeah, so I'm gonna kind of bring those out. I'll push this out to the side. Okay, same thing with this one right here. Okay, so I'm scaling, bring that one out, and then looks like this area. This is looking probably the best of everything. Yeah, but I'm just gonna kind of drop that off as well. Yeah, so we got all of those. Okay, and I'm gonna go to object mode, press 3. Okay, it's looking pretty good. Last thing I'm really gonna focus in on is getting that elbow. Yeah, so to make sure that I have the elbow solid, I'm then gonna go into mesh tool, insert edges. So I'm inserting an edge right up here. Yeah, so that should hold it pretty well. And then insert an edge down over here. Yeah, so that should hold that as well. This edge, I'm not gonna do too much with it. I'm just gonna kind of drop it off. But this one right here, I am gonna do a little bit of scaling, just slightly. Yeah, so it's kind of bumped out a little bit, but that should be good. Okay, and then when we go into 3 mode, you'll notice that it keeps the shape a lot more. Yeah, so this will be a lot closer to kind of what we're going for. Alright, so that should be just about it for the arm. The last thing I'm really going to concentrate on is this area right here. So if you notice when we go into 3 mode, it does kind of move off the model a little bit. Yeah, so just to make sure that everything's looking as clean as possible, I'm going to get all these vertices at the top, scale those together, and then bring these in. Yeah, so again, I got those vertices at the top, kind of using the scale tool left to right. Yeah, and bringing those inwards. Also, I can kind of get this vertex, kind of bring that inwards again. Looks like I'll be moving those closer and closer and closer. Okay, and I can also use this set. So we have this set of 3. I can actually kind of bring those over as well. Those will kind of work as holding edges also. Yeah, so kind of bringing those in. Okay, bringing those over. Okay, so when we're done with that, I'm going to object mode again, press 3. Okay, and then pretty much got the shape again from the side view. From the front view, it is looking pretty solid. Yeah, so you can kind of work with that. Yeah. All right, and then so basically that's it for the arm. Again, this part is like a lot of tweaking. The main thing I want you to focus in on though is making sure that we have that curvature going down, and this top area is not perfectly built for curving, so that's why it looks a little bit weird when we're in that 1 mode, but when we hit 3 it should look okay. All right, and then of course the last thing we're going to do is lock this in. So we're then going to go to your mesh tool, and if you can make sure that you choose the smooth option. Yeah, okay, and then there's our arm. For this one, if you want to do a double smooth, you can, and you can also because the vertices aren't going to be quite aligned, you can also kind of go in here and kind of scale those together. Yeah, so again, I'm going to do that right here, scale these together, scale these also together, and then now we have a kind of a nice clean line over here to attach to the character. Yeah, so you can kind of drop that off. All right, but that should be about it for the arm for now. Sorry, I have one more thing I'm probably going to move over here. Yeah, just because we're at our final model. Yeah, so bring this up. Okay, and yeah, again, a little bit of tweaking. A lot of like organic looking stuff is that's what you're gonna have to end up. Okay, before we mirror it, we want to make sure this is all zeroed out. Yeah, so I like how the arm's looking. To make sure that it's fully clean, I'm then going to go into my modify menu and choose the freeze transformations option. Yeah, so modify and freeze transformations. What that's going to do is zero everything out and then put all the scale back to 1. Yeah, so very similar to how we did the leg. After I did that, I can now duplicate this arm. So when I go into my edit menu and I do that duplicate special, yeah, I'm going to click on the square. We check the settings. Right now this one is also still set at -1 because of the jumping from the left leg to the right leg. We're going to do the same thing with the arm. So when I do my duplicate special here, the arm will be now facing in the opposite direction. It'll be mirrored over. Yeah, okay, and then I can use my front view to kind of place it. Yeah, so this should look pretty similar, yeah, as far as proportion goes and location goes. Okay, and then I'll also make sure that I do go into my menu here and sorry, my channel box, and change the name, yeah, to Lego right arm. Okay, and that should pretty much set this up. Probably the last thing I'll do is also freeze this one, because if you notice the scale X is set at -1. Yeah, and so if we go into modify and freeze transformations, that actually set it back to okay, telling that saying that this is in its rightful place. Yeah, while I'm here, may as well do that with the right leg as well. So I'm going to click on that one, and it looks like I did not label that, so I'm going to go really quickly through that. There's the right leg, and it's labeled, and then I just freeze that transformation, and again that'll set this as the default position. All right, but that should be good. Now we have our arms in place, yeah, so both of our arms are in place, and the next thing we're gonna set up is going to be the claw hands for the Lego.